What is going on, guys? It's Modded Warfare here. Welcome back to another episode of PS4 Jailbreak Tutorials. This is the new series that shows you how to take full advantage of the new 9.00 jailbreak for the PS4. If you haven't watched my full tutorial showing you how to jailbreak the PS4 from start to finish, check it out. It will be part of this playlist and it will be linked down in the video description. So in this episode, I'm going to be showing you guys how to install PS4 apps onto your PS4 without using a USB drive. This avoids the need to use two USB drives, obviously one with a hacked image on it to jailbreak the PS4, and then another USB drive, of course, to install packages with. Now, packages are the kind of file formats that all PS4 apps use. So your games, your DLC, your updates, your media apps, your homebrew applications, emulators, they're all inside these package files, .pkg. So we're going to install PS4 apps over our network connection instead in a few different ways, using some different homebrew apps and different applications. And there's even ways of installing them with your phone as well, which one of these applications can be used with your phone. So you don't necessarily need a computer for that one. So the first method of sending package files over your network connection involves using a computer. So the first thing we're going to do is head into settings. We're going to scroll down to our system information to get our IP address. So grab your IP address. That's just the local IP address of your PS4 right there. Obviously, if it's blank, then you're not connected to the internet. So make sure you set up your internet connection. So as you can see, we've got our IP address right there. We're going to take a mental note of that IP address. So before we get started, make sure you've obviously ran the jailbreak. Go on your favorite exploit host website, whichever one that is. I'll have a couple of them linked in the description. And obviously run, your actual jailbreak, your gold hen payload, which is the main jailbreak for the PS4. Plug in the USB drive with the hacked image on it when it asks you to, and then you should be good to go. If you don't know what the hell I'm talking about, then watch my full jailbreak tutorial linked in the video description. So the first method I'm going to show you on how to install packages, PS4 apps over your network connection is to do it with your computer via a payload. So to do this, we're going to use the bin loader option in our exploit host. Now, not all the exploit hosts seem to have the bin loader implemented properly right now. So I'm going to go to the following website. I'm going to go to 192.241.221.79 in my URL bar, or you can go to 165.227.83.145. One of those two IP addresses will link you over here to this exploit host by Al-Azif. And then we're going to go to PS4 9.00 and we're going to run the bin loader. Now, because we've already ran Gold Hen by now, and we've already got our PS4 jailbroken, we shouldn't have to plug in the USB drive again with the hacked image on it when we use the bin loader, because that's already been done. The PS4 is already jailbroken at this point because we've already done it before when we loaded Gold Hen. So we're just going to run the bin loader in this exploit host and wait for it to say awaiting payload. There we go. As you can see, awaiting payload. So now to install an app, all I need to do is use this sender exe file on my computer. So here's an application right here. This is the Homebrew Store, the PS4 Homebrew Store. And all I'm going to do is drag it on top of the exe and let go, and then click run. Then it's going to ask me for my PS4's IP address. So the IP address was 192.168.137.22 for my PS4. I'm going to press enter. And there we go. You can see package transmitted successfully, added to downloads. Okay, and that worked absolutely fine. Press any key to continue and we're good. And now if I go back here, you can see I now have the Homebrew Store installed right here on my PS4. And of course, I can do the same with other apps as well, using the same method. I can just go straight back to the bin loader. When I go back on the PS4, it just loads the last page it was on, which is the bin loader. There we go, awaiting payload again. Now I'll install the other Homebrew app, which is the internal package installer. And I'll do the same thing, 68.137.22. And there we go. Added to downloads app.package, and it's ready to use. And there we go. We now have the internal package installer installed on our PS4. The final app I want to install is the remote package installer. So I'm going to do the same thing again. Just head back onto the bin loader, So here it is, Remote Package Installer on my PC. I'm going to drag that on to sender.exe. Type in the IP again. Press enter. And as you can see, transmitted successfully. And there it is. Added to downloads. Ready to use. So that's one way of getting apps installed on your PS4 over your network without having to, use a USB drive to get them on there. And now that we've installed these, we can actually use these apps now to install even more apps onto our PS4 in other ways. So let's just add these to our Homebrew folder right here. So I'm just going to go ahead and select my Homebrew folder and edit folder. And we'll select all of these apps. We'll keep things organized, pop these in our Homebrew directory, and we should be good to go. So here we go. So we've got these Homebrew apps now. So the other app is the Homebrew Store. Now the Homebrew Store is quite a bit different to any other way of installing apps, because this literally allows us to install Homebrew apps and Homebrew games and emulators and mod patches for games and stuff. You can install all of those over the internet. So this basically just serves the package files to you from a server on the internet, and you can just download the apps directly to your PS4 from here. So you don't even need a computer or a phone or anything to install these once you have the Homebrew Store installed, that is. So I can just go into the store groups, and then if I want to install any Homebrew games, I can select the Homebrew Games section. And, there's Lappy's River Raid, which is pretty popular. I recommend you guys give that one a go. But then there's also, of course, emulators, for example. If we select the emulator section, for example, if I go to the next page, you actually have RetroArch, the unofficial RetroArch port that you can run on your PS4. You can download it straight from there. And then obviously there's media apps like Twitch, for example. We can download that. You just select it, you select download, and it starts downloading it directly to your PS4. And this version of the Twitch app that I'm installing is actually what's known as a no PSN app, which basically means it's a version of the app that's had the PSN authentication stripped from it. So normally you would have to sign into your PSN account when you launch the Twitch app, which we can't do on a jailbroken PS4 because we're not on the latest firmware. So basically this app has just had that authentication removed, so it will run without having to sign into PSN. It doesn't mean we'll get a few errors when we launch it, but we can skip past those and the app should work regardless. So anyway, we'll go ahead and wait for this to finish downloading. It's a bit slow, the Homebrew Store. It does take a while to download. Servers are not the fastest, but as you can see, we got it downloaded now. Now we can hit install, and that should install it directly to our PS4. There we go, added to our downloads. And then once we're done that, we should say it's ready to use, as it is right there. And there it is, Twitch is now available. So I can run this just to show it works and that we're all good. And yeah, so there's the error that we get, but we just click home. And as you can see, the Twitch streams and stuff are showing up, and I can, watch them no problem. There's one playing right there. Don't want to get any kind of copyright issues there. So we'll just go ahead and get rid of that now. But as you can see, that's another way of installing apps directly to your PS4. Obviously, the Homebrew Store doesn't have like proper PS4 games or anything like that in it. It's strictly for Homebrew, non-copyright stuff. So you can download, emulators, Homebrew apps, Homebrew games, and all of that kind of stuff, and utility applications, all of that kind of stuff you can download directly from the Homebrew Store, straight to your PS4, no PC, no phone required, no USB drive required to copy the apps on there. So yeah, awesome. So that's a really, really useful one right there. So next we have the internal package installer. So the internal package installer allows you to install package files over FTP, right? File Transfer Protocol. So any device you have on your home network that has a FTP client, or that you can get an FTP client on, like your phone, you can just download any like FTP client app from the Google Play Store, for example, and then download any package files you want onto your phone. And then you can just transfer the file directly to your PS4's hard drive using FTP. So that is how this program works. So what we're going to do first of all is head into settings, go to the Gold Hen settings and enable the FTP server. It should say FTP listening on your IP address with the port number. So obviously if it doesn't say that, make sure you're connected to the internet on your PS4, connected to your network, then it should pop up. once you've got that enabled, we can now use the internal package installer. So I'll switch back over to my computer here, and I'll use an FTP client like FileZilla to install this Minecraft package file here. So I'll open up FileZilla, I'll type in the IP address of my PS4, 22, and then the port number, which was 2121, and quick connect. That connects us to our PS4. Obviously, I'll link FileZilla in the video description. You can also use WinSCP, any other FTP client app that you want to use. Then we go into the data folder, and we just copy any package files we want to install into the data folder, just like this. There we go, minecraft.package. Make sure the file name doesn't have any symbols or spaces in it. You know, anything weird like dashes or underscores. Preferably just rename it to something that's just no spaces, no symbols or anything like that. And then it should install okay. So now that we have that package file in there, all we have to do is go back to our PS4 and run the internal package installer and wait a few seconds, and it should detect that package file that's on the hard drive. As you can see right there, detected Minecraft, and now it's installing it. And it should only take a few seconds, and now it's installed. So we'll run it, make sure it works. That was again copied over our network using FTP. And again, you can do this on a phone. Absolutely. Download an FTP client app on your phone, download a package file for the PS4 on your phone, and then copy it to the data folder using that FTP app. And then you can install it with the internal package installer, just like we did with the computer. Just make sure once you're done installing the application that you then go back into your FTP client and delete the app in the data folder. Otherwise you have two copies of it, the installed version and the version you copied to the data folder. So just delete the app from the data folder once it's installed and you should be fine. We'll delete that app now, and we'll do it again, this time with the remote package installer. Now this is an old app, so there's quite a lot of people reporting issues with it because it hasn't been updated in years. So there can be some issues using this application, but if you can get it working, it does have some benefits. For example, you can install multiple package files one after the other with this application directly over your network. You don't even need to, you know, copy it and then install it. It installs it as it's downloading, which is pretty useful. So if you can get it working, it's good. If you can't get it working, don't worry too much about it. It is an old app and it does have some problems. Okay, so switching back over to the computer, in order for this to work, you need a specialized application to send package files over using the remote package installer. So in order to do this, you're going to need to download Node.js. So just download the latest version or the recommended version of Node.js and install it. It's just a basic setup installer. You know, just click next a bunch of times and then finish, and it should be installed. Once it's installed, you can then use a package sender app like this one here, PS4 Package Sender, and I'll have it linked down in the video description. Basically, for the server, you just select the IP address of your computer. If you don't know what that is, you just type in CMD into your search bar on Windows and open the command prompt and type in ipconfig, one word, and press enter. So you can get your IP address there. So I'm just going to make sure I select that IP address. So the IP address of my computer is the server. And then you type in the IP address of your PS4 into the PS4 IP box. You drag in the application you want to send. And of course, I'll do a couple of other ones as well. I've got RetroArch here, so I'll add that one in too to send multiple. And then you can set the timeout. So the timeout, as you can see here, it's recommended for wired connections, 7 to 15 seconds and 30 to 60 for wireless. So I'm directly connected with a wired connection on my PS4, so I'm going to use 7 to 15 seconds. If you're on wireless, then do like 30 to 60 seconds. And then we're going to send the application. So in order to do this, if I switch back over to the PS4, you just run the remote package installer. And you need to keep the remote package installer open, full screen like this, in order for it to work. Then if we switch back over to the computer here, I'm going to send all. And that starts sending the application. As you can see, Minecraft added to downloads. We'll just wait for that to finish. Again, it's a small package file, so it shouldn't take too long over a wired connection. So there we go, it's ready to use. And then basically, because of the timeout, it will wait about 15 seconds, and then it will start sending the next package file. There we go. Now it's sending the next package file. So it's now sending RetroArch. And then we just wait for that to finish. There we go. RetroArch is ready to use. But there we go. You can see that's fully sent now as well. So I can close the package sender now, and I can close the remote package installer, and both of those apps have now been installed. And there's more options as well that the remote package installer has. If we switch back over to the computer, for example, you can right click and you can check installed packages. So you can do that to check if an app or an update or something has already been installed, then you don't need to bother trying to install it again. Or just to verify that things have been installed successfully. You can also right click and do things like uninstall game, which will send a uninstall command, which should remove the application. You can also like uninstall a patch for a game and any DLC that's installed or any themes that have been installed as well. So you can do that too. Clear the packages, remove the packages, all that kind of stuff. So we removed RetroArch there. And if we go back, you can see it has deleted it. So yeah, that's basically it. That's the remote package installer. It's got quite a few different options there. So that is a useful way of getting package files on there, because you can install multiple package files one after the other, but it does take a little bit of extra setup. Now, if you're wondering how I'm able to get such fast speeds with my connection, when I'm transferring files, whether I'm transferring a game over FTP, it transfers really quickly. If I'm transferring package files over the remote package installer, it works really fast without any timeout issues. It's because I'm directly connecting my PS4 to my computer with an Ethernet cable, and then I'm using connection sharing on my computer to share the computer's connection with the PS4. So I'm getting the fastest possible speed that you can get. So in order to set that up on your computer, if you want to set your network up similar to mine, then basically you just go onto your control panel on your computer. If we go to the control panel here, we go to network and internet settings, and then we go to network and sharing center. And from here, we can go to change adapter settings. And then when you get in here, you just want to select your Wi-Fi adapter or whatever adapter, network adapter you have that's providing your computer with the internet connection. And then you just want to right click on it and go to properties, and then go to sharing, and then allow other network users to connect through this computer's internet connection. And then you can click OK. If, however, you have a drop-down menu like I do, then select the Ethernet adapter as the adapter you want to share the connection with. That's the port on your computer that the PS4 is plugged into with its Ethernet cable. So you click OK, and now your computer's internet connection has basically been shared down the Ethernet cable to your PS4. And then on the PS4, you just set your internet connection up, as I've done, through a LAN cable. So you select the option to use a LAN cable when you're setting your internet connection up, and you should be good to go. So that will give you the best possible connection speed when it comes to transferring apps onto your PS4, or doing anything from your computer to your PS4 over the network will be much stronger, with much less chance of, signal issues or anything like that when you have your network set up in this way. Now, one other thing to mention when using the remote package installer is that you must be blocking the connections to Sony's servers, which means that in the network settings, you need to make sure that you've set up your internet connection using a custom setup, and that you are blocking all the connections to Sony servers by using these IP addresses as your DNS settings. So you can add them in either order, it doesn't matter which one's primary or secondary, just make sure you have them both added. And then that blocks all connections to Sony servers, and that will allow the remote package installer to work. Because if you're not blocking Sony servers and you try and use the remote package installer, if the PS4 makes some kind of other network request to Sony's servers, then it will interrupt the connection on the remote package installer, and it will interrupt your transfer. So that's why you want to be blocking connections to Sony servers when you're using the remote package installer. However, that step is not necessary for the internal package installer or the Homebrew Store. They'll work fine even if you're not blocking connections to Sony servers. So yeah, anyway, that's basically it, guys. Those are multiple ways that you can install package files. You can install your games and apps and DLC and emulators and all of that kind of stuff directly onto your PS4 without having to use a USB drive. So hope you found that information useful. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe, and I will be continuing this series on, and we'll be doing more videos very soon. I'll be trying to put out a video like once a day or once every couple of days at least. So yeah, check back on the channel very soon for the next video. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.